Yeah, to me, that's a big one, because if he didn't sweep the House and had this same old partisan deadlock that we've seen for the last several years, where, the Republicans held the House and the Democrats the Senate, nothing substantive ever got done. You never saw anything other than typically people voting along party lines. I would say that if that were the case, it would be not as good for gold as it is with both sides of the House and the Senate belonging to the Republicans, so that they will be able to pass legislation. And look, I think from a standpoint of, this is me talking here right now, okay? For me, the reason I wanted Trump to win is that, as someone who voted with his feet and left Minnesota, I've had enough of the wokeness and the BLM and the LGBTQ to last me a lifetime. I wanted to get back to the sanity where people were admitted into colleges and to careers based upon their merit, not upon their race or their color or their gender or their lifestyle. I wanted to find some form of credibility that would be regained in things like the FBI and the DOJ. And I think maybe yesterday we maybe took a step towards renewed faith in our electoral system, things that I've talked about on your show forever that had bothered me. And this election, to me, which really bothered me, was not just Trump versus Kamala. And then again, it was Trump versus Kamala, the Obamas, the deep state, the media, every major corporation, every celebrity, every musician, every university, all the social media platforms, except yours and mine and a few others, and even the rhinos, the Republicans that pretended to be Republicans, even the Avengers, for goodness sake. It was just, and I like the idea of going back to some form of sanity, and getting rid of this baseless, inflammatory rhetoric, and the moral high ground and all of this nonsense. That to me is why I wanted Trump in office. But look, the truth of the matter is he wants low interest rates. He wants a weaker dollar. He wants lower taxes. All of this is inflationary in the respect that they will spend. We don't have a surplus. We have deficits that will continue to grow. We have inflation that will continue to accelerate, lowering interest rates. With all of the money in the system, with stocks and real estates at all-time highs, we have not signaled victory over inflation. They're waving the white flag against inflation. So inflation is here to stay. What you saw today was a knee-jerk reaction. The markets are always very reactionary, and it's laughable how much it is. But you look at the massive short positions that the commercial banks have in London and in New York. Maybe they looked at this as an opportunity to smack it and cover some of these positions. My guess is within a day or two, it'll be right back where it was. The resiliency and the strength of the metals markets has been extraordinary, and the worldwide accumulation won't stop today. In fact, it will continue to grow, and so I think that it's better for this country. Putting precious metals and precious metals prices aside, I care less for those, and I say that out of respect for everyone that's ever worked with us and for my own holdings, than I do a world where my kids and yours, done again, your grandkids, I don't have any yet, but you do, grow up in a world where maybe we can talk about things that are more optimistic. And this is a day to celebrate. This is a day to rejoice, as far as I'm concerned. You're bringing, he's bringing all sorts of people into the fray. Former Democrats like Tulsi Gabbard and RFK Jr. and bringing in Elon Musk, bringing like the Benjamin Franklin of our time, bringing in all these minds and creating unity, something that the Democratic Party really didn't do. In fact, anything but. They've created divisiveness and lack of unity. to me, that's what it's been. And quite frankly, then again, it's been a real drag being a pessimist the way that I have for the last 4 years. Maybe this will bring optimism and opportunity to some degree on many levels, but what it won't do, in my opinion, is fix our fiscal and monetary problems just yet. Now, look, if Elon Musk comes in and does what he did to Twitter and, immediately, cuts a huge portion of the government. Think about this for a minute. In September, I believe, they added over 780,000 government jobs to skew the numbers, as far as I'm concerned. And even in this last employment report, where it was putrid, they only added 12,000 jobs. But what they really did, and they don't tell you, is that they shed 28,000 jobs from the private sector and added over 40,000 jobs, again, government jobs. And we're borrowing money to pay for these jobs, and the government just keeps expanding and expanding and expanding. A government that has no profit motive, that doesn't employ, all forms of fiscal sanity and responsibility go out the window when the government is the one creating all of the jobs. These are the kind of things that, if we see those kind of things, then there is really hope and optimism that we can right this ship and start paying down our debt and start producing more than we consume, and not be in a constant position of adding a $1 or $2 or $3 trillion to the debt every single year in the form of deficit spending. So ultimately, this is a day to rejoice and to be happy for and to be thankful for, and it is the American spirit. And maybe we've regained a little bit of, at least from a portion of the world anyway. Maybe half the country doesn't think that. I don't know, but it gives me pause for a moment that maybe the credibility of the elections is starting to at least gain a little bit more confidence. And but I don't see it materially changing our problems with the dollar, with our debt, with interest rates. These are things, look, Trump understands the whole concept of bankruptcy, a default, a reset. Could that happen? Yeah, I think it probably could. I think you could see something that is some form of a reset of the system. I don't know what triggers it. I don't know what it looks like, but you have to ask yourself a question: how do we ever pay off this massive debt with the continued fiscal irresponsibility that we have, adding a few $1 trillion to the debt each year, and the servicing of the debt now outpacing just about everything at close to $1 trillion a year, or at $1 trillion a year? These are numbers that are so big they're almost impossible to ever address. And even if we balance the budget today, who pays for Medicare and Medicaid and Social Security and government military pensions, which they tell us by their own admission are 5 to 6 times higher than the debt that's on the books? So it's not an easy task he has, but it starts. Sorry, banged my mic there with my hand. It starts with getting some form of our culture back. And if anyone understands it, it's you. You're a very principle-oriented person, and I see the way you've raised an amazing family. And they're all very hardworking, regimented, educated people who embrace the values that this country, I think, was founded on: religion and family and hard work and ethics. And a lot of these things have gone by the wayside. And I think it's not going to be easy. It's going to be bumpy. But I think that's where we start. And I thank God that we have at least that to look forward to. As far as the fiscal problems, look, he brings in the right people, and you see Elon Musk clean house and really reduce the size of government, get rid of all of the restrictions that businesses have, and lower taxes to incentivize more business activity, bring our manufacturing home. It won't be easy. It won't be fast. We'd have to rebuild these these manufacturing centers, teach people how to do it. So it's not something that's going to happen tomorrow, but my hope is that he makes good on a lot of the promises and that he can unite the country through his actions. And that we see this trend continue for years to come, not just a 4-year flash in the pan deal. And I am optimistic right now, but it doesn't change at all, at least for now, the reason to continue to own precious metals. In fact, the fuse that was lit to start this precious metals market, largely the debt and the massive accumulation of debt and the irresponsible spending, that hasn't changed. And sadly, I don't think it's going to change under Trump, at least not initially. In fact, they're talking about him increasing by his numbers 7-8 trillion to the debt by what he wants to do. Who knows? I'm just simply saying that, socially, morally, culturally, I thank God he won. But in terms of what it means for people who own gold, I don't think it's changed anything. In fact, I think that is still a trend that is in motion, that I don't see anything that's going to change that at this point.